Thank you. Thank you. So what if I told you that your brain isn't the only organ in your body that receives and processes information? What if we had another organ waiting to change our understanding of how our brain works and the future development of neurotechnologies? An organ that not only affects how we think and feel, but now is being seen as a crucial link in mental health, neurodegeneration, and even consciousness. So I started my career as a pharmaceutical scientist, and I was actually involved in studies looking at drug deposition in the lung. And I was mainly involved in studies looking at how we are impacted by electrostatic fields. And actually, it was from that experience that I came to the conclusion that a lot of these drugs that are being taken, especially for things like asthma, which was my field of study, could be enhanced or even totally eliminated by very simple techniques, such as grounding, for example. So this led me to kind of leave my position in a pharmaceutical company, and actually I moved to California and became more involved in research into alternative medicines that embraced these effects of charges within our body. And I started looking actually at structured water technologies. Now, structured water forms when water is subjected to an electromagnetic field like light that's next to a charged surface, for example, a cell membrane. But because I had a neuroscience background, this very quickly led me to think about the brain, because after all, the brain is 75% water. So could light, with its amazing effect on water, have an effect on the brain? And this led me to the field of transcranial photobiomodulation. And I know that's a bit of a mouthful, so I'll just spell that out. Transcranial meaning over the head, photo meaning light, modulation meaning to change something. So really this is just shining light onto the head to have an effect on brain function. And actually I very quickly found out there were a lot of people who were already doing this kind of research. And they were really looking at light, and surprisingly enough, they were looking at supposedly degenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and having a positive effect. I've gone backwards instead of forwards. So this is me. This is me in 2018. I did some data collection for a trial using near-infrared light, and this is a dementia trial. And it became very apparent to me over the course of the trial that this therapy really does work. I saw some radical changes in the patients that were on the active arm of this trial. But I wasn't so happy with the delivery devices that were being used. I wanted something that was a bit more usable, a bit more applicable, something that people could use at home, perhaps. And this is really what started me on my own 5-year journey to find the best delivery system for light therapies, for brain health, for myself and for people who are looking to optimize where we're at. Okay, so I'll briefly go back and talk a little bit about what is light therapy, just as a bit of a catch-up, before I start going into how I think really we need to change the way that we're using light therapy delivery, and especially in regards to the second brain. So photobiomodulation, really it's just utilizing specific wavelengths of light in a targeted way to have an impact on the body. And when we're talking about particularly light for the brain, we use red light therapy. So we're using light that's in the red spectrum and in the invisible light spectrum, or it's called near-infrared light. And light is mainly received in the body. We are covered in light receptors. We are diurnal mammals. We have evolved outside. We are meant to respond to light. And one of the main mechanisms of action is light is received by these small organelles in the body called mitochondria. And I want you to take note of what the mitochondria look like here. They even look like bacteria. And that's because they have an evolutionary background and ancestry that mitochondria probably were bacteria that have been taken up by multicellular organisms. So yes, it's maybe no surprise when I'm going to talk to you a bit now about the microbiome that the mitochondria is the place where we receive and utilize transform light. So what is the second brain that I'm talking about? Well, I'm talking here about the microbiome. So the microbiome is a 3-pound invisible organ that's situated mainly in our gut. Most of our bacteria are in our gut. 90% of the cells in the body are bacterial. That may be a slight overestimation, but I've looked at a lot of papers, and it's a factor of between 2 and about 10. So we are at least 50% non-human cells. So 50% of our body is not what we would consider ourselves. It's bacterial, it's yeasts, it's other kinds of microbes. 90% of your neurotransmitters are made in the gut, and the microbiome has a profound effect on the production of these neurotransmitters. The microbiome is an integral part of the immune system. The microbiome interacts with our vagus nerve and is sending messages constantly to the brain, telling us what to do and influencing our mood and our behaviors. But perhaps you're not quite convinced yet that the microbiome is having this profound effect. So I want you to consider the case of a microorganism called Toxoplasma gondii. Now, this is a microbe that infects mice, and this causes the mice to lose their fear of cats. And in fact, when mice are infected by this bug, this microbiome, they actually become attracted to cats. So this is a way that this particular parasite is actually hijacking the mouse's free will to its own agenda. Again, grasshoppers. So grasshoppers can be affected by a parasite called hairworm. Now, hairworm will invade a grasshopper and cause the grasshopper to find water and jump into it. Of course, the grasshopper, this is totally out of what a grasshopper would usually do, and the grasshopper meets, unfortunately, its watery demise, but it completes the life cycle of that parasite. So this leads us to a very interesting question. How many of our own choices and decisions are truly our own, and how many of those are the agendas and motivations of our microbe and our microbiome? So, this is why when I was looking to develop the most optimum neurotech, I decided that we really do need to have a holistic approach. And in this case, 2 brains really are better than 1. If we want to develop the most effective neurotech, we have to take into account the interconnectedness of our existence. We have to embrace the fact that we are not just individuals. We are symbiotic communities of organisms all working together. And by embracing that interconnectedness, by developing technologies that not only targets the brain, targets the site that we're actually trying to modify, but also takes into account our microbiome, we can then form neurotechnologies that really are the most effective and give us really the best chance of having healthy brains, healthy guts, and a healthy community living within us. Thank you.